and probably tomorrow or day after I will let you know. And like we'll be having a break of nearly from 31st to 7th, and on 8th onward Abhijit Mane sir will be conducting his sessions of NoSQL. So he will update you accordingly in the group. And then again, like I will start in between, like after his introduction part and one of the database NoSQL is finishing. Fine. Okay, let us continue with what we discussed in the previous session. So what we saw was like there were say kind of different things that are included in the database. Okay, so we've tried finding out how exactly the cluster can be added, what can be done for that cluster settings and so on. So we'll move further. So we identified that our data directory is where. Can somebody tell me what was the path for data directory?
Where
Where
leave
leave PostgreSQL.
Okay,
Postgres
good.
11
Good.
main.
main.
Yeah. So for example, 14, then main. Correct. Now this will contain a base directory, and this base directory contains the database that you may have in your system. Okay, which are represented with a number. Now, if I try to see a list of databases, I can get that list like this. And we tried saying like what exactly is work of template 0, template 1, and Postgres. Though we haven't finished that part, but like when as and when required, I'll be putting more light on these databases or importance of these three databases at least. Okay. So let us move further. Now, whenever we write say PSQL, so you log in with say for example your user. Now, whenever you write /d, so we saw that it displays what are the record, what are the tables, what are the relations, what are the objects, those can be found there. Now we even saw like how to make use of /i instruction, correct? Because we executed that p.sql file, okay, like this, and we could see that everything got executed. So we even set date style to mdy, and then we again executed. So the remaining errors are removed. Correct. Now, if at all I wish to see, like, say for example, whenever I write /d, I do see that list of relations are added. Okay. So some of them are tables, some of them are sequences, and so on. So even we talked about what is the importance of the sequence, and we even created a sequence, right? We tried associating it too. Now, whenever we are working with such cases, rather, ultimately, when I write /d, how exactly only these tables are added? Correct. Suppose let me try say create temp table say x, y, integer. Correct. And if I write /d, so it automatically tells me this pg temp. Correct. And this is public, which is the default one. As per the tree structure that we saw, hierarchy of the cluster, we saw there would be public, there would be user defined schemas too. How can I create my own schemas then? So for that purpose, we have to make use of create schema command. And this command will help you out to create your own schema. And it gives like I upgraded my Postgres, so I'm now using 14. So like it adds URL as well here in the syntax perspective. Like whenever we write create schema, it defines a new schema. So let me create it. So create schema ADC 21. Now let us see what are the options. So I can say authorization, schema element, and so on. So I don't want to add that. So I just want to say this. Now let me write /d. Now let me create a table. Create table. Now how can I work with this schema ADC 21? So I have to write this. If I write this way, ADC _21 dot x y integer. If I write slash d, what is shown? Earlier records only before I created my table, before I created my schema. It is the same thing which I saw earlier. Then what is the difference here? What is the difference here? Right now, I cannot see any difference, but ultimately I can point out that as a user perspective that this definition of X is not shown. But if I try writing this, say for example, insert into ADC21X values 10. If I write select star from X, oof, what it is showing? It is showing empty, but we inserted a record. So let me insert one more value. It said one more record added. But when I write slash D, I do not see that definition ADC21 and X. Similarly, if I try to write this, because the reason behind this, like we had X table with Y to be column, this X belongs to this schema. So if I write particularly, like if I provide a scope for it, ADC21.X. Now I can see that the values those are added by me in that particular relation are seen. Now, how many such schemas possibly could be? There can be hundreds of. User might create his or her own. But then, what should be the mechanism that we should apply? Correct. How should we see that? How can I add my own schema there, which can be seen here? Correct. And for that purpose, we have to make use of a particular command. Like this would be like we are trying to make change in the display mechanism of the system. The display mechanism in the sense I mean to say, whenever I write slash d, it should show my own schema 2. It is currently showing public and template 1. While I write temp 3. Correct. Now we like think about this. Like you are working on a large project and there are like hundreds of different programmers, and they do have like this is a master database that I have. Now I want to give access to them first so as to try their applications. So what I'm doing, I'm creating schemas as per their groups and I'm copying these details there only. So actually you create schemas for external view to give external view of the same database such that it would be belonging to different group of users. Like say for example, I've created X. X may be same as what I see in pgtem3, what probably I may see in public. But it would be a kind of use, like it would be kind of say structure shown to the user where he would be permitted to manipulate anything. That would be like you may say then why don't create the temporary tables? But again, your relation names would be changing. We want to keep it intact because we don't want to make changes in the code again and again. Correct? So what these schemas are, how the schemas are helping us? It helps us for logical separation of databases or logical separation of all these database objects. Okay, so that you can manage very easily. Now think of this. Suppose if I keep creating these tables, hundreds of tables can be seen with slash d. But then how exactly I'm going to search my own? I need to consider that. So if I write then suppose slash d, we said what? Yeah, ADC. I can see that public is not shown here. It is showing now me ADC21. But then whenever I'm writing slash d, why it is not showing me the same? Now in this case, I can see that there is X also, which is from pgtem3. I'm creating another X, create table X, Y, integer. So if I write slash d, I can see only X. Where is my public? X. So if I write select star from X, okay, let us insert into PG temp 3x values 10. Insert public.x value x. So if I write select star from x, now which x we are talking about? Correct. So let me update it for a while so that it will differentiate. Update public dot x set y equal to 20, where y equal to 10. Now if I write select star from x, it is showing 10. Actually, I modified it with 20. So if I write public here, I'm qualifying that object. I'm qualifying that object. This is called as object qualification. I'm qualifying that object, and then I can see now that it is trying to show me exactly what I inserted there in a public schema. Another thing that I can exactly see is now you should not get surprised to see that there are 3 different elements with same name. So you may say this looks to be a conflict, but ultimately if you see, this X is having some kind of qualification, and that qualification is provided by us. So by default, whatever the X is shown now, it is from PG temp. Okay, so if I see slide D, it is showing me this X from this PG temp. Correct. So like suppose if I quit from it, if I go again back and if I write slide D, now which X is shown? Public. Why? Because you ended the session, ultimately all temporary tables would be deleted. Now you have 2 X. One object X is in public, one object X is in EDC schema from EDC. And now you simply write X here. No need to write public. Now it is showing you exactly the value that you inserted there. Now, how exactly it is verifying this? Like you have these many objects. Now I'm only talking, suppose I have a class of say 100. Now from them I have taken say 6 people who would be representing say placement cell. This is a qualification added. Now suppose there are 2 people with same name. Everything is same, like first name, last name, middle name, everything is same. Then how will you refer them to? Now you have some qualification names given exactly to your friends. How you identify friends? Sometimes one may give names to teachers and so on. Like how exactly you refer an object? That would be kind of synonym that you are using. But in this case, how should I really move further in terms of qualification? So this qualification would be done through this. Then whenever I write slide D, why it is showing me X instead of that other X? So this is controlled by the database system exactly. How it is controlling it? It is controlling it by considering the schemas which are accessible to you. Correct? Which are accessible to you. Then what exactly it is using to show these objects to you? So it is making use of something called as search path. Okay, so let us see what is a search path. This search path is a list of schemas to search for. Now what it does, it picks first matching object in the search path, whatever is required. The first schema name that you add in search path would be current schema. So if I say so search path, then it tells user created, but $user. So okay, it must be having some meaning behind. So when we say user, it should have shown us that ADC. It is not showing that. It is a schema name. The ADC one is your creator schema. So this user might be referring to some internal schemas rather. Correct. Now, how can I change then? I want to show that ADC 21. What are the object that we created? Correct. This one. ADC 21. I want to see this table there. Whenever I write /d, it should show me instead of this public. It should show me that other table. Now, why it is not showing that? Because it is an unqualified object definition. Though it is qualified by the system internally, the way that you created. This user, whatever we talked about for a while, this user would be the schemas defined for the current user. Now, what are the ADC 21 that we created? It is a permanent one. It is going to stay there, and it may not be only for user. There can be multiple access mechanisms. Like there could be multiple users, multiple databases who may access that too. Now, what are the order that is there? So in this case, this is the order followed. Nowhere it added name of my schema. What are the schema name that I gave? Say ADC 21. If at all I have to display that, what I need to do? I need to set the search path. So set search path. Now let us say 2. Now let me write my schema name. ADC 21, comma, then I am writing public. Let me write now /d. Now which is shown? Now the current path, current search path is picked in this order. What is the element in this order? Which is the first element in this order? It is ADC 21. That's why it is showing you that table on a priority basis, and then rest of the tables are shown. And whatever the object which is getting repeated is removed from that list because it occurred once. So in this case, ADC 21 is a current schema which word. So whenever I write, say for example, select star from X, it is going to pick always from the current schema. Current schema is automatically added. What are the schema name which is added with the search path at the first place would be considered here. If you change that order, say for example, now you are saying public, comma, ADC 21. Now if I try this, then it is showing me 20. Now what was the qualification added there? Qualification is public. Because when you set the search path, what are the schema name that you added as a first would be treated as current schema. And that's why you are not required say, to write the schema name. Automatically it is taken. What are the schema name which is available at first position in the search path? Objects belonging to that are shown automatically. Now, whenever you have to add any relation, any object for a while in your schema, then you have to always write that qualification. The object names must be qualified. Qualified in the sense it should have schema name attached every time whenever you are trying to create the things. Now, where exactly this is important? It is mostly useful. Well, for example, you are using Postgres for different 2 to 3 courses for different purposes. Now, you may wish to create your own table definitions belonging to say ADC, belonging to say DBMS course, belonging to say some other course, assuming that these are 3 different courses. So it is always better whenever you are trying to make use of a single user database or a database where all users are allowed to access the objects. The default setup has public schema as a first priority until and unless you change the search path. But for multi-user databases, where users are permitted to access only certain database objects, then always this is a better solution to make use of user-defined schemas for every user and permit them to make use of that access. Correct? So let us see whether do we have any information stored about our schema there. We don't have anything there which can be shown for us. So if I write pg underscore, let me see whether do I have any other option shown. Schema, see either whether are you getting something like schema. Where exactly this information is stored then? Nowhere. We could not find out. Correct? So if I cannot find out here in this list, sorry, in this list, then how can I set appropriately the mechanisms for searching? Okay, let me try one more thing. So let us say semicolon first. Yeah, select star from pg namespace. Okay, so now you see here how many schemas are added there. This is a space given. This is a qualification added for every other object. The namespace owner always is Postgres. That's why 10 is added. So how can I see that? Let us try this. Use sysid. Okay. So let us write star user sysid kuch column hoga. Yeah, use sysid. You can see Postgres has number 10 and my Nitin user has 16384. And that's what it is. It is owned by him. So ultimately, I definitely should be able to provide access. Who can access this schema and who cannot. So let me check grant create. Now what can we do? So see whether we can grant create table. So it is saying ADC. But to whom? How exactly we can do that? So if at all I have to set the permissions. Correct? Grant, sorry, /h grant. See, can we use it for some particular thing? So you can see database. Some server is also added there. Can we see our namespaces somewhere? Yeah. Schema name. So can you do this? So where exactly we saw grant schema name. Even table space is added. Correct? So we are interested in grant schema name. Grant what? You can permit that position that permission through grant. Now similar kind of permission also is added for every user. So if I write that, I can see that who is the user who is permitted to access these schemas. So user is permitted to create his own relations, his own objects there. There is subsequently pgtem3 added, but this pgtem3 was added because you created a temporary table. But then if I cannot access these objects other than public and ADC21, what are contents of each schema? Now this, every database that you create on Postgres, each database will be containing a PG catalog schema by default. It is copied from template1 database. What I said? It is copied from template1 database. We saw template1, template0 and Postgres. If it is copied from that, then what kind of objects possibly could be there with respect to this PG catalog? So let us see, let us try doing it. Let us try firing this command. So you say, you can see PG catalog dot. Now if I press tab, it says too many options. So these all options are there for me. So these all are catalog tables, catalog objects. So there are schemas with PG catalog. There are tables. There are indexes, there are sequences, there are some views too. Now which was the view that we saw? Let me write this. So this is a table, correct? So /d pg underscore tables. This is a view. Now how this view is created? If you want that, you write this. So you will see query written behind the view. The query was written in this way that create view, say X, and this query written there. So you are not expected to write this query again and again. You simply say select star from PG tables. So ultimately it is going to show you everything. And you will have such catalog tables and objects created in a multiple manner depending upon what kind of operations are to be supported by the respective database version. Now, as I said, what this PG catalog would be containing? It would be containing schemas. You can note down, by the way. Okay, let me add it here in the comment window. So what objects would be there? So let us go on. So it would be containing schemas. Okay, then it would be containing tables, indexes, sequences, then views. Okay, so these seem to be the good objects. Like I can see that these objects are shown whenever I write /d. But this PG catalog, if I see the terminal, like if I write say PG catalog, so you can see it is saying PG. Then if I press tab, there are 134 possibilities. So let me write this type, PG underscore type. So this contains information about all types supported by your Postgres, depending upon the version. Okay, so let me simplify that life. These all are the types. There are other objects also. So we are saying it is belonging to PG catalog. PG, what we said here, type. Next thing. Now, whenever you are creating, or rather you are using aggregate function, from where the aggregate function is added? If I write slash df sum, can you see all functions are added there with name to be sum, and it is telling what is the type of function. So if I write slash df generate series, say for example, so it tells me that its type is function. Earlier the type was AGG aggregate. So how many such functions are there which are of the type aggregate? Okay, so let us see. Slash d pg underscore type. So I can see type val. Sorry. So different options are there. See how many columns are there. How can I find out that what is the type of that object? So let me write. There is another function. Another element in PG catalog called functions. Okay, so which is known as procedure. So let me write pgproc. So you can see that it is again a catalog table. Table PG catalog. So let us write select row name from pgproc. So these are your procedures. Okay, so if I see now what is their type. Sorry. So let us see whether do we see any type there. Yeah. Return type is there. How do we know what kind of function it is? So if I write select star from pg underscore proc. So let us take say first entry. So it is going beyond. Yeah. So now you are having first entry. This is your first entry. So function object name is boolean. But I'm not able to see like what kind of object this is, whether it is function or something like this. So all of them, whatever you see in proc would be all functions added without worrying about types. So this is another object that we are adding here in this list, pgproc. Now when you create tables, how you write the definition? Create table x, y, integer, k, numeric 10, comma 2, text x text. Okay, sorry, I created this table where the information of y, k, and x is stored. Then somewhere it should be stored, correct? So if I see select OID comma rel name from PG class where rel name like x1. Now I should find out like what are the objects that are used with x1 are 3 elements. Where this information about these objects, these you can call it as attributes is stored. So there is a table, another catalog table called PG attribute. This contains information about all attributes that are added. You can see at rel ID. This is the object number. So remember this. So let us write select at name comma at rel ID from pg underscore attribute. Now you will see the relations. Now let me concentrate on from pg attribute where rail at rail id equal to 16551. Now these are the default columns added, and it has, instead of OID, it has table OID. Table OID. Considering version to be 14. If it is earlier, then you will see OID there. Cmax, Cmin, CTID, Xmax, Xmin. We saw a few of them, and these X, K, and Y are the column names that you have. So another object that we are going to have in this catalog schema, this PG catalog schema, is PG underscore attribute. Now, whenever I create a function, whenever I create a table, do I create barely the tables the way that I am creating what I applied here? Do I create this way the tables? Simply yes, but in a professional perspective, I don't create this kind of tables. My tables can have constraints as well. Correct? My table can have constraint as well. So where exactly these constraints are? So let us say create table x2 y integer z char 10. Let me write here primary key. Sorry, I missed one bracket. So let me correct it. So if I write /d now x2, I can see that it is showing me additional information. Correct? Please hold for a minute. 2 मिनिटं आलोच. Please hold for 2-3 minutes. Sorry. So let us continue. I'm extremely sorry. There was one guest. Okay, yeah. So like we saw, whenever we are trying to create a table with some constraints, ultimately some information is added. Where exactly this should be registered? Where should this information be registered? So let us try to see what is the another component. What is the another, you can say, the catalog table included for this purpose. So let me write /d pg underscore constraint. So this is one more relation. Okay, it is a table from PG catalog which has these constraints. Now, if you see this constraint relation ID, so if I try to see select OID, okay, let me type select OID comma rel name from PG class where rel name like x2. Okay, now let us try to see select star from PG constraint where con rel ID equal to 16556. So this is the same x2 name p key, primary key, which is added there. It tells you constraint type 2. What is the constraint type? Now see how many types of constraints possibly could be. So let us try to display. Select distinct con type from pg underscore constraint. Okay, CUP cup. So these are different one, but definitely we need to find out what exactly this C means, what exactly this U means. Okay, so let us try seeing this where con type equal to C, for example. Sorry, I missed because it is a character. So it contains a name, cardinal number domain check. Okay, this is first record. Okay, and there seems to be only one. So if I write select count with this type of constraint type, there are two records. If I see U, there are 45. Let us see for U. So it seems it is mostly for a kind of index. We don't know what exactly this is. We definitely would be creating them, but yes, we need to find out information about this too. Correct? Now, before we started this course, ultimately our idea was data. What database does? Database permits me to create tables. Database permits me to insert records. Database permits me to update records. Database permits me to delete records, delete objects. Now we are saying more than that. It's not only limited to only CRUD operations. CRUD, CRUD. Create, retrieve, update, delete. Your database system is beyond that, which very few system programmers do know about. Everybody should not know that. Definitely. Because like suppose you are working in a company and they are not knowing anything about this and you suddenly are asking, can you tell me what is OID of this table? Now that would be, sir, what exactly do you mean by OID? Everybody may not know that. Even like whenever we are talking about some DBS certifications, similar kind of questions are. Now, this is my opinion rather. How many programmers are possibly there in a company? With say suppose size to be 100, head count to be 100 of a company, you will see nearly 60 to 70% are programmers, correct? High possibility there might be only one or two database administrators. Now, who is having more importance? Programmers. No. Suppose your DBAs are not there, you cannot do anything because every control is with them. Even if you are a very good programmer, may not be worth in respect of finding out. So best suitable job is what? You should be a system administrator, controlling all accesses. You should be a database administrator. Programmer, then why it is required for us to do, say, MSc, MCA or MSc scientific computing? We could have done BSc, BCA, and we could have joined as a programmer. So we have to go beyond that programmer level. I don't know how many of you would be working with such kind of systems later, but definitely think of this, like considering the size of data getting increasing day by day, we have to come up with different solutions like this. So I'm adding one more table, one more object here. PG underscore constraint. Okay. Now, do I have other objects too? Yes. Let us see. Okay. I showed you something related to this. So select star from PG underscore proc. And then, like if I see proc type, do we see proc type? Okay, let us see this way. We don't exactly get that proc type, correct? Here. So it may say pro kind. Okay. Select distinct pro kind from PG underscore proc. W, F, and A. Okay, let us try this. Select a pro name from PG underscore proc, where pro kind is equal to A. Oh, looks like this is related to aggregate function. Aim is aggregate function. Seems like, see, sum, max, mean, count. Oh, these many are there. We used only sum, count, or what are the 5 functions which are told to us by our DBMS teacher: max, mean, count, sum, average. Done. But there are too many such functions available. Nearly 145 totally. Now see, it is showing its own 145 aggregate functions. I also want to create my own. Can I? Definitely yes. Can I create my own aggregate function? Definitely yes, you can. Let us see the other type, W. Okay, so now let me see what exactly they contain. /df, right? /df, and then you give name, one of the name. Okay, so if I write /df, and if I'm giving this first value, it tells it is a function and it is of type window. Now work for you, some work for you, for study, for searching purposes. What is this type of function, window? Try searching about it. Okay, what I'm doing is, like on Moodle of the course that we have. Okay, so those who haven't yet joined this course, I'm adding in chat window. Om, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you please share. Okay, 1 minute. You please share this link to, so with the students of your batch.
Okay, sir.
Okay, ask them to join this course too, because I do ask. It is required that they should mark their attendance also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add on the Moodle course. Okay, some discussion section. Okay, so let me add. Let me try adding it. Yeah, so your contribution. Okay. Now I want you peoples to work with that forum and try to find out answer for this. Though I'm specifically talking about Postgres, fine, but you have to address majority of things, like at least right now we do talk about only Postgres, and you also can talk about Postgres only, fine. Yeah, so yes. What are the types of functions supported by Postgres? Fine. You can keep on adding information. What are the information that you have in the forum? So I have added this forum at the bottom part. Okay, this function types. Okay, you have to add your inputs there. Fine. Yes. So let us continue with the remaining objects. Okay. Yes. So we saw this. Now, if I have to talk about these functions, how can I see for aggregate? So suppose if I write say sum, it tells me that type is aggregate. Correct. So if I write say, then how exactly I can get all the functions with the type window? So these all are your functions with type to be window, prokind to be window. Why these kind of functions are supported, or why these kind of functions are required there? Why not simple functions the way that we saw? Say for example, if I go with say generate series, this is a function type, you can see func, which is an overloaded function which works with something we don't know what is exactly the set of and so on. So 8 entries are there for this function. We'll see like how exactly this can be used, rather would be addressing that, but this is a standard function available. So even if I assume like I don't recall exactly, but have I told you this or not? But like if I say 6 17 1975, and then today's is 10 28 2021. Oh, I used the wrong order. Now suppose if I try to compute my age, how do we getting like this? Okay, so ultimately if you see, this is a date difference kind of stuff, correct? But date difference would be giving generally the difference of in terms of days. This would be telling me how many years, how many months, how many days. So if I write now /df age, it tells me what can contain. So the one which I used, argument types, probably one of them. We're not sure which one we used, because it says timestamp without time zone, timestamp without time zone, 2 parameters, timestamp without time zone. So we haven't added time zone. We have added date. So date is coming from that timestamp. Correct, and it is used internally by the system to compute this function. So if I try writing this age, okay, let me write we will take result data type. Okay, timestamp with zone. Okay, so if I try to see this definition, each one of them, like this is first, which is written with SQL, and it says this date difference from today, preserving months and years. This is second definition. This is third definition. Correct? You can see there are different kinds of function definitions added there. Like this is the next one till this. Okay, and this is last one. So you may have multiple such definitions available. So do I have information about only aggregate functions? So let us see the other table which is used internally. Okay, so write PG A double G aggregate. So it tells you only aggregate functions. So if I write slide DPG aggregate, okay, let us see. Select. Okay, do we see name there? Let us see the contents. Select star from PG aggregate. Okay, so you have this as a name ag FNO ID. Select ag FNO ID from PG underscore aggregate. So these all are your functions, aggregate functions. 145, correct? That's what we saw earlier even. So you will see one important concept here. There is var pop, var samp, variance, standard deviation, count, SXX, XXY, SYY, AVGX. We never address these all. We use only those one which are generally seen, but they must be useful at some point of time. Correct. So now let us try to see their types as well. Like we saw, there is ag kind. Ag kind. Let us write. Okay, there seems to be select distinct ag kind from PG aggregate. HON. Another task for you. What is this HO and N? Fine. Try to find out. You can keep adding that information into the threads that are created. Function types we added. In that only you can go on adding this information too. That we saw some aggregate functions with HON. Whoever gets that information, try to contribute into forum. Okay, what are the forum that we created there on our Moodle platform? Okay, so yes, so let me add this definition there. Another relation, PG aggregate. So you can see like there are so many tables included there. And now this list is very small. The one that I gave you right now is very, very small. PG type, PG proc, even say for example, PG class. We used it multiple times, correct? PG class, PG namespaces, and so on. Now these would be the ones which mostly we would be using. Rest of them we may or may not use, at least depending upon the time limits that we have. But if so many such internal tables are used by the system to support your only writing insert, so actually we're embracing the your database system must be considering itself like it is getting embraced in front of you when it is you are only trying to write select star from table, what you achieved there. But we are happy with the query that we write. Now recall, I hope everybody did a DBMS course in first semester, correct? Now suppose your teacher gave you write SQL query for a problem statement. How many answers you gave there? How many answers you gave? Only one? Only one? Yes, are you there? I have asked a question. Whenever a teacher is asking you, write an SQL query for some problem statement is given. Say show all customers who ordered more than one. So you are writing a query, correct? Now my question is, how many queries have you written for one problem statement? Yes, please. Devesh, how many queries you wrote?
Only one, sir.
Only one. Why? Why? What might be the reason? Because we are happy with the output. Correct? Have we ever worried about this? Like, think about this. Why you were taught something called as complexity analysis in algorithms course? It might be expecting that you should write a program in such a way that output should be shown as per the expectation, but your program should be an efficient program. Now, why don't we worry about our efficiency of our SQL query? Have you really thought about how much efforts a query or database system is taking to show you only the output of select count star? What is to be done? Only count it, done. You are done. But it is not like that. Huge amount of effort is required at that point of time. Huge amount of effort is required at that point of time. Now, whenever we are firing any query, like you must have seen, I have fired few queries there on my terminal. Then it is giving me this. Now you may say, due to hardware capability of my machine, it is returning me the results very soon with very small amount of time. But now this is standard query that I may exactly write. But whenever I'm talking about, like, think of this, like I already gave you a file p.sql, which contains these all definitions. Okay, except these three tables, except these three tables above all are added there. Now I am asking you to write a query. That query should give you some result as per your own choice. Make sure that you make use of more than or greater than equal to 4 tables which are listed there. And you are not to stop there by writing a single query. I want you to write that query different type in different way. Output should remain same. Output should remain same. Now, how do we really verify whether which query is best? How to check it? Because output would be same. Now you are given 10, and if 10 are performing very well, who to choose? You have to apply some parameters. And some parameters may be with respect to how much efforts are to be put at that end. Correct? Now, if at all we are really talking about that perspective, this would be a task for you in like this Diwali gift that I want you from you peoples. Write 10 different queries, giving you 10 different results. Make sure that you are using more than 4 tables, more than or greater than equal to 4 tables among the tables listed there: barcode, customer, item, order info, order line, and stock. And for each of those 10 queries, try to write minimum 5 queries, which would be giving you same result. Like if you write first query, give me 4 other queries. So there would be 5 queries returning you same result for the first problem statement. Then you pick second problem statement and go on. Try writing this 50 queries and now see how much effort is to be put to formulate a problem statement itself. Like while I was a student, I always used to really think of my teachers are very happy. They have not to write answers. But biggest challenge is creating questions. And maybe you will realize that time. Now you have to think, okay, what I want as a result. Now you have to think about result first and then you try to formulate the query. It is not like that, okay, abruptly use any 5 tables, don't talk about any relationship between them. You go on. The queries, the 10 queries problem statement that you are going to choose, make sure that they can be justified properly. Like why you want that kind of result from the system. All right. Any query about this? So this, I expect you people to give this Diwali gift to me. All right. Any query? Any question?